All right. Hey, aloha, everyone. Welcome to the Caring Caregivers Show. I'm your host, Savvy, the founder of Gimme a Break, which is a nonprofit organization, by the way, caring for caregivers. If you don't know, thanks for joining us. Hope you're joining us every week. And each week we do help caregivers to survive. So if you're a caregiver and you're trying to survive, tune in. Or you can always check out our website. And let me just pull that. I am having a time today with being on my laptop. You guys all know I have to adjust. So I'm being on my laptop today. So we're going to do the best we can and we're going to survive this. Anyway, you can check out our website right there. It's gab808.org for more information because you know what? I know you're tired. I know you're frustrated. And I know you feel like no one sees you. So you need it. You need a break. We offer a break to you every week, twice a week. We offer you a break on Tuesday evenings and on Saturday mornings. So you can come into our support sessions. It's a community of caregivers that's there for you. And that's Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time or Saturday mornings, which is 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. The great thing about that is it's a lot easier for you on Saturday mornings if you're on the continental U.S. to tune in because of the time zones and changes. And I think we're switching over to daylight savings time pretty soon here. So it'll give you a little extra time to do that on a Saturday. Make time and join us. We'd love to have you. And every caregiver really does need our sessions. It's really your connection to community. In fact, we're currently discussing caregiver survival tips. And last night we talked about eating well and eating right. And also we talked about getting enough sleep and ways that you can do that and how you could be sabotaging your own sleep. So things to talk about and things to definitely help you in your caregiving. Today is February the 22nd. That's 2 2s. So we got the February's a 2 and the 2 2s of 22. And then we've got the 2002. So there's 4 2s in a row. I'm sure there's some kind of an angel number for that. Someone can let me know later what that is or what that means. But it's probably a really great day to just open your heart for a lot of wonderful things since we're spending the whole month of February in self-love. And this is our self-love month. So hopefully you've learned and practiced this whole month, everything we've been talking about, and you'll continue to do it throughout the year. The Caring Caregiver Show, by the way, is sponsored by Givers Guides online magazine. Givers Guides is a caregivers guides to caregiving. And Givers Guides is written exclusively for caregivers from a caregiver's point of view. So get your subscription. You can go on to giversguides.com. It's right there on the screen, where you can also, by the way, check out some of our past issues. And the February issue is just chock full of ways to love yourself. Again, with the current percentage being that 30% of caregivers do not survive the person they are caring for, we need to change that. And that shoots up, by the way, if you're 70 and older, that percentage goes to 70%. That's scary. That's serious. We have to change that. That has to change. We're going to do that together as a community. Because really, think about it. If something happens to you, then who takes care of those that you're caring for? What's going to happen, right? A lot of red flags out there. You want to always be careful for them. So contact us. Let us know. We're here for you. Go to Give Me a Break. It's gab808.org. And of course, your subscription, by the way, is a perfect way to help somebody that you may know. Maybe you're not a caregiver. So you can help them by getting them the subscription. And remember, always the first issue is free. Oh, wow. Wow. For those who have the subscription to Givers Guides, by the way, you'll probably recognize my very special guest today. She is the editor of Givers Guides, and she's the COO, that's Chief Operating Officer, for those of you who want that whole thing laid out for you, of Give Me a Break, and also the founder of Alakai Associates and a caregiver. So please welcome my dear friend, Lani Almanza. Hi, Lani, who's going to be co-hosting with me today.
Yes. Thank you.
No, thanks for your time. I'm so glad to have you.
Well,
Thank you.
We get to do this once or twice a year where I come in and join you and sort of look back at what's transpired in the year. And just just so you know, I think you've lost a year because it's 2023. So February 22, 23.
Well, no, it's actually, well, yeah, that's if you're taking the last two. But when you write out 02222023, you've got, and right in the middle is
Oh,
four twos.
gotcha. Gotcha.
I know,
Okay.
I know. I got you. I got
I
you.
was thinking, I know we've been moving fast, but thought you lost a whole year there.
Yeah,
But
I know. Well, I feel like it though.
it was a big transformational year for us.
Yes, it was.
You know, we came into a different physical space
Yeah.
a year ago, built into that community. We had our first fundraiser walk, our Shine a Light walk, which
Our
was
charity walk,
amazing.
which was
Our charity
amazing. Yeah,
walk, which was
that was
amazing.
awesome.
We had our second annual retreat, which
Mm-hmm.
was amazing. So, you know,
And
we
hot,
got,
really,
it was
really
hot. It
hot.
was, yeah. So I know we've secured
Air
an air
conditioned.
conditioning space for this year's retreat. So,
Yes, we have.
you know, everybody keep tuned in for more information about our retreat in August and upcoming events.
Yeah.
And then, like Savvy said, she very lovingly coerced me into becoming the editor of Giver's Guides, and then more love and coercing to get me to be the COO. But it's a mission that's close to my heart as a caregiver.
Right. Yes. And I mean, and this is really how Alakati Associates kind of came to be, was because of your passion and your caregiving. And I know you've shared it before, but I'm sure there are those who will listen who haven't heard your story. And if you could just share your caregiving story just a bit, because, you know, I ask everyone, and, you know, I let everyone know that we are all caregivers. And so please share a little bit of your caregiving story and how that came to be with Alakati.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think one of the things that connected us in the very beginning when I met you was the whole concept of caregiving with Give Me a Break is that we kind of look at Rosalind Carter's quote of, you know, we have been, will be, currently are, or will need a caregiver at some point in our life.
Right.
And when I stopped to look at that, it's like, wow, yeah, I have been in that caregiving role my whole life, but maybe not identified as such, because I was the oldest of four siblings. I was, you know, automatically became the babysitter and became the babysitter in the neighborhood. But my most profound caregiving role came when my youngest son was diagnosed with brain cancer in 2002. And he transitioned in 2005. And so that journey was a huge pivotal transformation point in my life and my caregiving role. It taught me or actually I had to develop and find skill sets to survive that, which is how Alakati Associates was born, in sharing those self-care, stress management strategies that prepared me for the next caregiving role I had, which was with my parents. My father had Parkinson's, which advanced, and he transitioned about 7 years ago. And then my mother had Alzheimer's, and she just transitioned this past December. But now I am launching into sort of full circle as my daughter becomes a new mother, into caregiving for a 3-year-old that we have in the house and a new baby on the way. And so
and now you're Nana.
Yes. Yes. And in fact, today I have Nana Uber services, which is picking up the 3-year-old from preschool.
I love
but
that.
You know, that's the thing, is I realize is that a lot of times we look at caregiving as this burden, and it can be, for sure, where, you know, sometimes we're thrust into that chaos without being prepared, but it also can be a joyful experience.
Yes, and we're changing that, right? We're
Yeah.
bringing back the joy of caregiving. That's really part of our mission, and we want to change that whole thing about being a burden so that wellness is focused on by the caregiver, and that you can find those joyful moments and memories.
Yeah.
I love that, and I love that you have a company that's based on wellness. Really, that's what Alakai is all about.
Yes. So
Um,
that's
yeah,
really is helping people find that joy.
yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is find your joy and go there.
There you go, right? That's a journey that we need to take. I
Yes.
think that's a journey not many people do.
Yeah.
And I love what you do. And, we've got a lot of great things coming up. We're going to have, Lonnie's going to be doing a lot of her amazing workshops for us. And we're going to be going, a lot of it's going to be online on our
Mm-hmm.
Facebook page. So if you're watching us on Facebook in our group, make sure, or if you're even on our any other
Yep.
page or any other outlet that you're watching this, because we're streaming on 7 different platforms right now. So if you're watching on a platform that's not Facebook, go on Facebook, join our Facebook group, because that's where you're going to want to be for this whole year. We're going to have a lot of free opportunities to get workshops and seminars and presentations. And Lonnie and myself will be doing that. We'll have guests coming in. So there's a lot of excitement going on there for caregivers to not only give you an opportunity to do them, but to do them online, because you just can't get away. We get it.
Well, and
So
the other thing is, we know that people can't get away to go to something. Sometimes you don't have the time, and you might not have the resources, money, or
right.
to do that. But it also helps us reach out into what is our global mission, to reach caregivers worldwide.
Worldwide, yeah.
So, this
exciting.
this is the future of education and reaching around the world, and we don't have to rely on. It's we like having a physical presence where we can connect with people. But we don't have to rely on that in today's virtual world. And I think it's exciting that we're going to be able to reach out further.
It
and
frees us up,
impact.
actually. Yeah. It frees us up, and outreach is our plan. So we're reaching out to everybody this year.
Yeah. So anybody that's watching worldwide,
Join in.
if you are a resource for caregivers of any type. So, we talk about have been, will be, currently are, or will need one. This is the place to tune in and get your questions answered, get your support, get educated, and spend a little time with self-care.
I love that. Thank you, Alani. And also, last thing I'm going to talk to you about here, but I just want to leak a little bit, but I know there's something really exciting coming up for you. So I just want you to talk a little bit about your book.
Yes. And that's part of the journey in caregiving has brought me to this place. And the support that I've had in working with Give Me a Break, and with my Alakai business and the things that I do there, the company that I work with through that has brought me to a place where finally, after 20 years, I am giving birth to the book that's been sitting and waiting. That's a long pregnancy.
Long gestation, yes.
But projecting to launch this summer. And I am thrilled to actually verbalize the title that has finally landed. And
you're hearing it first here, folks.
Yes. Under a Full Moon and a Guiding Star. So I hope that you will continue to tune in, and as it gets closer, I might do some readings and excerpts and share that with you. And certainly, of course, would love everyone to, purchase a copy when it's launched.
Of course.
We'll get there.
Yes. Yes. No, and we appreciate that. Right. And thank you so much. I love that, and I love that the journey will always take you to places that you not only need to go to, like you said, find your joy, but the journey takes us to places that we might not have otherwise gone. And so we really have to thank caregiving for that, and being able to put your thoughts into a book and have a book of your own. And that's an amazing, amazing thing. In fact, today we also have another guest who's going to be joining us that has done the same thing and has been able to be an author of a book, and also is a speaker, a podcast host, and the founder of Sustainable Caregiving. She's actually a certified caregiver consultant. So please, let's welcome Lonnie together, you and I, Teresa Wilbanks. Aloha, Teresa. Welcome.
Yeah.
Aloha,
Hi.
hello.
Thank you
Hello.
so much for being here and for making time for us. We're really excited to share about sustainable caregiving. And of course, before that, like I ask everybody, I have to know your caregiving story. So tell us a little bit about your caregiving story.
Sure. Thank you, Savvy. It's nice to see you, Lonnie.
Nice to meet you.
So I cared for my dad for 7 years, and he transitioned at the age of 99. Now, this was
Wow.
in December of 2020. And while I came from a family of caregivers, when I began caring for dad, like I had no idea what I was in for. It was all around me. I saw it growing up, and yet I was completely caught off guard. And it's a slippery slope from helping out to burning out. And I just slid right into the flames of burnout.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't on a sustainable path. And as you all have mentioned, at that point, it did feel like a burden. And I couldn't find the joy and I couldn't find gratitude. And I was worried about the effects of stress on my health. I was worried that I'd have a lot of regret about the relationship with dad because it was deteriorating right in front of me.
Yeah.
And so I just went on a mission. I wanted to understand why the role was so challenging and did the caregiver gene skip me? And as I delved into the whys, I realized it was just hard, and my folks, they shielded that reality from me. It was right there. And yet, they didn't talk about it. And it wasn't until I found my dad's journals later and he journaled about it.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was reading through them with him. So, we, during the pandemic, became his social. My husband and I is just his social and everything. And so at 3:00, I'd go sit with him and I was reading his journals and I had gone through several of them. I had a stack and I got, somewhere in the middle and he was writing about how it just his emotions and how hard it was, how he didn't know if he would survive. So it was like a full circle moment. I was able to talk to him a little bit about it. He didn't remember a lot of that. He was in his late 90s at that point, but it was incredible. So it just fast forward in order to help other caregivers, I was connecting them with resources, but I knew I had to figure this part out, the emotions and this struggle. And so I kind of deconstructed the experience and the pain and just, all of the challenges, and then came up with the 12 sustainable caregiving strategies. And a book was in me, but I thought, it's going to be a few years, but then the pandemic hit and I'm like, well, I have time. So I wrote. And that's sort of how caregiving brought me to this place where I wanted to help other caregivers.
I love that. And of course, that's exactly what we do. And you're just another kindred spirit in this journey to have you on, and super honored to do that. And now, by the way, your book is called Navigating the Caregiver River. And I wanted to make sure I didn't say that too quickly because Caregiver River is a little rhyme so that it would certainly tongue twist someone like me. But Navigating the Caregiver River, a journey to sustainable caregiving. And I love that you mentioned that you have 12 sustainable caregiving strategies. And so how did you come up, and I do things all the time, right? That have a number to them, and you come up with 5 or 10 or 3 or 12 or whatever. But how did you come up with 12? I mean, I know there's 12 months in a year. So is this something that maybe could be, I'm just guessing, right?
Yeah, that's a good question because it just turned out to be 12. I mean, as I said, I was just researching. I really started with the pain points and with what was so hard, and then tried to figure out. I think the first one that I came up with was accepting the role, and I was trying to understand why I was having such a hard time doing that. And I realized I came across an article that Ryan Holiday wrote about Amor Fati and Love Your Fate, and I thought, okay, I had this visceral negative reaction. How could I possibly love this fate? This can't be right. But then I knew immediately I was missing something. I needed to understand this better. And if I did, I could figure out how to embrace this caregiver role. So that was the first one. And that was a process. They all were a process. And then it just evolved. And eventually there were 12. And now they worked out. I find them to be in these 3 categories of preventing and recovering from burnout and managing the emotions and then reclaiming control. Like I call it reclaiming and regaining control. So they kind of fit into those categories, and it feels right. So
I love that. I actually, and I apologize, I have not yet read your book, but I do have it. And we actually had it here in our library. I had it out, and actually one of our caregivers wanted to look at it right away. So I wasn't able to read it. And I've now been fighting to get all of our library books back in. Not that there was anyone on this particular podcast that was guilty of keeping one of our books out. Not at all. No, no, no. But
Go ahead, call me out.
I know I did call you out. I called you out.
Since I'm the one that set up the library.
Right. You had borrowing privilege. So it wasn't you. But yeah, one of our books. And so I didn't get an opportunity to read it, but that shows that the person that had the book didn't want to give it back. They wanted to keep it and read it and use it. And I love that, because that's really the goal. And so I can't wait to read your book and look into it and study it more. So because I have it, what are some of the things that you can, I don't know, give to me that I can sort of get into? What are the things that you feel like, I'm a caregiver and I'm a lifetime caregiver and I have dealt with caregiver guilt, I've dealt with caregiver burnout. What's going to help me the most?
Yeah, so I would say first that these strategies help me flip the script from I have to be a caregiver to I get to be a caregiver. So I think that's what we're all looking for, if we can make that happen.
That.
And in addition to my health improving, which it did dramatically improved, my relationship with Dad improved. So these are tried and trusted, lots of trial, error, and tears. And the other thing, but the river analogy, and then I'll just briefly share the strategies, but if we're on a river, we can imagine that our caregiving journey is like being in a raft on a river, and there are calm sections and obstacles and rapids and a few waterfalls. Yeah. And I can remember feeling like I was completely tossed out of the raft and I was drowning, just barely hanging on. And these storms that pop up, and the emotions swirl. And you mentioned guilt. And for me, the trifecta was guilt, anger, and resentment. So that's what I was trying to deal with. And I found, I will tell you the top 4 that really helped me immediately. Boundaries. Boundaries help me recover from burnout. And now I say boundaries can prevent burnout. Mindfulness. I like to say mindfulness disarms the caregiving triggers. It disarms a minefield, because there were triggers everywhere. And I didn't realize it till I started to look into, why was I reacting so strongly to everything? And part of that was because I had no more compassion. We talk about compassion fatigue. Well, I call them now, my compassion reserves. Our compassion reserves get depleted. We don't have a capacity for compassion. And I know, Lana, you're talking about self-care, and that's exactly how we get back to that, which is another strategy, prioritizing and microdosing, self-care. And then we can.
You and I need to just have a chat.
I sense that. We will definitely talk after.
Because there's going to be a lot more after this show, I think. Yes. And we're definitely going to be connected for a really long time, Teresa. And I think as we get our calendar through the year, we're definitely going to want to arrange for you to do some workshops or something with us, with our caregivers in our community as well. Because I just think this is such an amazing journey that you're sharing with us. And it needs to be shared with so many. Yes.
Yeah. I see so many overlaps with what I'm doing and sharing as well, that, we call it different things based on our experience, but they're very similar in how we confront or manage or deal, whichever, emotion feels strongest for you. With that caregiver role, and how we move through it. Like you said, on that river, like
navigating that river. Yep. That's amazing. And so again, folks, Teresa Wilbanks is author of Navigating the Caregiver River, A Journey to Sustainable Caregiving. And her contact information is on the screen. It's just sustainablecaregiving@gmail.com, or go to the website, sustainablecaregiving.com. So check her out. Check out her website, please, and definitely get the book. If you don't get the book, then talk to someone who has it and get it from them, and don't give it back. But we definitely need to share it and share with each other ways to navigate this journey that we are all on. And here's yet another tool. And I know you also do other workshops as well. So that's probably on your website where people can check it out. So again, you guys, sustainablecaregiving.com. Check out Teresa's website. Thank you so much for coming on today and just sharing your heart and your wonderful compassion, which is no longer depleted. So we really appreciate that. And I think you've definitely kicked our compassion up a notch. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Teresa.
Thank you.
All right.
Aloha.
Bye. Okay. Oh, and the other thing too that I didn't mention before we got started on the show, this is backstage stuff. So gang, you get to hear all of this is if you do want to leave, you can just press the leave button or you can always stay backstage and enjoy our green room that has no snacks, no luxuries, unless they're there in your home, but you can do that and stay on for the show as well. Otherwise you just click the little X, the red X that says leave studio and we'll be in touch. So that's that. Wow. How's that? That was pretty amazing, right, Lonnie?
Yeah.
I know. I can tell by your expression. You're just like, holy crap.
I need to talk to this woman.
I know you do. I can see you feverishly writing down notes.
Yes.
And I want to take a quick moment before our next guest too, because you're going to feel the same way. Trust me, I am absolutely enamored with our next guest. But I want to take a quick moment to share the activity from our current February issue of Giver's Guides. And all the more reasons, again, you guys get your subscription because on the back part of the subscription, there's always a fun activity. And on the last page there is our 28 days of self-love. So all month we've been trying to do these different things, one a day, to do something to give yourself and honor yourself with self-love. And today's actual self-love to do is to diffuse essential oils. Oh. And so you just happen to have some, don't you? I know you do. So just get an essential oil, you guys. And you know what? I know that not always do you have time to go and get an essential oil and have all of this zenness going on in your home as a caregiver. You probably smell like puke and, you haven't washed your hair in a week. And so I get it. So go to your medicine cabinet and grab something crazy like, I don't know, baby oil or coconut oil or something that's just sitting there. Got olive oil. And just take a little bit of it and just kind of rub it in your hands and take a deep breath and put it over your nose and mouth and just kind of take that in. Even if it's an earthy oil, that's okay. It's going to connect you and give you a moment to just self-love.
A couple of things I want to add. So one that is refreshing, can be uplifting if you just need to wake up. If you have an orange or a lemon or a lime, either squeeze that into your water or just rub the skin in your hands and the essential oils from the rind,
natural
of the fruit, the natural oils, that will, your skin absorbs it, your olfactory nerves get wakened up. Another one is if you have any kind of mint plant laying around, or even sometimes just opening up your spice cabinet and opening up the cinnamon or the oregano, anything that evokes memories.
Curry powder. I love the smell of curry powder.
So anything that evokes that warm memory, or evokes joy.
Yep.
There it is. So you don't have to invest in essential oils. You can if you want to. But there's things around your house that are going to trigger those moments of joy and happiness and comfort, and peace of mind.
And the important thing is to do it, to just do it. Don't not do it because you don't have, like me, a shelf of essential oils right there in your room.
Right.
And I happen to have them all and I mix them and make concoctions. But, you don't need that. We're saying that as a caregiver, we get it. You're already frustrated. You're tired. We get it, so just do what you can do. And if push comes to shove, go outside, grab a flower, because everywhere in Hawaii within 10 feet, there's a flower, and just rub the petals and get some of that essential oils right on your hands and just enjoy it for that moment. And that's what self-love is about, what you do in that moment.
Yeah. In fact, on my Monday walks, there's a tree in the neighborhood that it's kind of at the end of my walk. It's a pukinikini tree. And if there's ever a flower, it reaches out towards the road. So if there's a flower within reaching distance from the road, so I'm not trespassing in anyone's yard, I will pick that flower, and just for that day, that flower is, part of that aromatherapy that we all can.
And so for those of you who are perhaps not living in Hawaii and listening in, puakenekene is a indigenous plant to Hawaii. It's a local flower that we all have, and it just is the most incredible
fragrant,
buttery, fragrant smell. It's kind of like jasmine and butter and rose all mixed together, and it's just amazing, and grows like crazy out where our space is currently and where Lonnie lives on the windward side of Oahu. And it's just everywhere, and you can smell it in the air, and it's such a wonderful smell. So like I said, bottom line, you guys, just do it. Today, it's all about an essential oil moment. And for tomorrow, the thing to do of the 28 days of self-love is to do something to make you laugh. So laughing is a hard thing to do when you're caregiving as well. And we've done a lot of workshops with you guys on laughing. So here's what we're currently doing with all of our community here and the community in our support group is we have set our cell phones. We have set a reminder on our cell phones every day at 10 o'clock to laugh. And each week at our session, we kind of change it. So we had a funny one this past week. It was, oops, here's some jewelry. And there's a whole story to that. I'm not going to tell you that one now. But maybe you could just set your phone to laugh and then remember that you have to laugh because your brain doesn't know the difference, you guys, real or fake. Your brain's still going to send those wonderful euphoric chemicals to you, and you can still enjoy that happiness and glow that you'll get from laughing. So force yourself, even if it's a fake laugh, to just laugh out loud and do that. So set your cell phones tomorrow, 10 o'clock, and every day at 10 o'clock in the morning to do that. And know that, and if you want to do it according to the Hawaii time zone, do it whatever time that is. As long as it's not 2 a.m, people wonder why you're waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning to laugh. But why not? Anyway, maybe I'll do that too.
Yeah.
But
I think we should have. I think we should have a laugh circle around the world, around the globe.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Right. Yeah. And just know that there's a community of caregivers at that same time here in Hawaii that are laughing with you. And you're not alone. So that's something that we've been doing. Pass it around, pay it forward, have fun with that. Okay. Whew. Anyway, I can't even tell you, I'm so honored to introduce you to our next guest. She's been a nurse for over 30 years, specializing in hospice and end-of-life care. So just the heart there is amazing. She's a certified hospice and palliative registered nurse with experience in patient care, nursing management, quality, and compliance. And her passion for advocacy at end of life can be heard on her podcast, which I was on, The Heart of Hospice. And it really talks about the hospice philosophy. You know, hospice is a tough subject, right? It's not an easy one to talk about. Everyone sort of sees that in such a negative way. And my mother, as you know, is in hospice. Your mother was in hospice just before she passed recently. So there's so much about that. So I'm really glad she's here to talk to all of your caregivers. And I want to welcome our guest today, Helen Bauer, and someone I'm calling a friend now. So hello, Helen, welcome.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, thank you. It's so good to see you.
It's so great to see you. Yes, we have the same hair, but she curled today.
Excellent taste in hairstyle.
I can't even tell you. It's so amazing.
Oh, so, well, you know, Savvy has on different glasses today, but she and I share the
have the same glasses. Yes, these are my online glasses because they are sort of rimless and kind of hopefully are invisible. But my regular glasses, we actually put them on one day and looked at each other and just died laughing. Yeah. So this really is a community of kindred spirits. I just love that. But so happy to have you here, Helen. So tell us your caregiving story.
I have a dual caregiving story because I've been a professional caregiver as a hospice nurse for the last 13 years. And then I also was a personal caregiver for a friend of mine who asked me to be her medical power of attorney, her healthcare proxy. And I walked with her, journeyed with her to the end of her life on hospice care. And then I also was part of the caregiving village for my father-in-law, who passed away. It's been a little over a year now, about a year and a half ago. Complications from end-stage Alzheimer's disease, also on hospice. So my professional caregiving journey started way longer before my personal story did, but it was such a stumble. A lot of hospice professionals will tell you they felt called and they feel it's their mission, and they were drawn to end-of-life care and taking care of people who have serious illness. It wasn't like that for me. I stumbled into it and was just in awe of the work and in awe of the people that were doing the work, social workers and chaplains and aides and nurses, and fell in love with it. Yeah. It's a very unique niche inside nursing, and you learn something from every single patient and family you take care of.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
So, yeah, it's an amazing, amazing sector of nursing. And then, of course, you go through your own personal experience and you realize, I didn't know a thing. I have no concept what it's like to be a personal caregiver. It's absolutely true. Until you have that perspective, you really don't know what caregivers go through 24 hours a day. Yeah. You really don't.
I agree.
So I learned so many valuable lessons that I brought back to the care of my patients and the education of my families.
Yeah.
When I went through my own personal experiences.
Yeah. And I think that's really where that's kind of the seed to our heart and passion to all of us here is that you really, once you get there and you see how low and what depths you can get to, you understand what it's all about. But really, I just think we need to demystify hospice. Everyone sees hospice as, well, you're going to die, right? Right. I went that with my mom. It was like, she's going to live, she's going to die. She's going to live, she's going to die. She's in hospice, she's out of hospice. You can graduate. There's even graduating. And so the lesson that we learn about that, but how can you help us to see that differently? How can you help us to demystify that? I love your title because it's the heart of hospice. So what is the heart of hospice?
Well, to me, the heart of hospice is the people. It's the nurses, it's the teams, and it's that family of caregivers, that caregiving village, the people who are there when the hospice people can't be there. We have the privilege of going home at the end of our workday. And yeah, we're available 24/7. We see people in the middle of the night and take care of them. But those family caregivers are really at the heart of what we do, because they are the vigilant people sitting at the bedside, watching the clock, medicating symptoms, turning patients, comforting them when they're anxious, and watching everything. So really, the caregivers and the patients, they're the heart of what we do. So that's where the name came from. I also think that to do this kind of work at end of life, you have to have your heart in the game somewhat. Even though we're professionals doing a job, you have to care about what you do, or you can't do it right. That's my belief. That's my belief.
Absolutely. I've encountered people who unfortunately chose to enter that profession without having the skill set, the compassion to do it right. And I think that's where a lot of times hospice gets a bad rap is, somebody encounters something that didn't go right, when it really can be so supportive, and help families move through that whole process.
Well, I think that's the whole thing too, is again, we're on a journey with caregiving, but hospice in itself is also something that becomes a journey that needs to be navigated. So it's like, we just talked to Teresa, who navigates through our caregiving experience, but having Helen here now to kind of help us understand the navigation through the hospice experience. That in itself, right? I mean,
Yeah.
There's kind of a philosophy to hospice, right? And really, maybe you can help us with that, and then help us to understand how we can get the most out of the experience and not necessarily see that in a negative way, right?
The most important thing I think people are confused about, the mystery of hospice,
Yes.
is this misconception that you lose control of everything once you go on hospice. You can't have your meds. You have to stay at home. You can't see your doctor. You don't have a choice over what's happening to you. You're forced to take certain medications. And none of that is true. None of that is true. It opens up a lot of freedom and a lot of choice. It's all about quality of life and enhancing that for the patient.
Yes.
But it's whatever the patient says is quality of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's connection with family. Maybe it's quiet time. Maybe it's time outside in nature. Maybe it's something as simple as being able to sit on the side of the bed and have a cup of coffee that day.
Yeah.
Something very simple. But we also support the caregivers. And I think that's a very unique thing about hospice that other sections of healthcare don't have, because we are in the patient's home, wherever they call home, and we're taking care of the patient and taking care of the people taking care of the patient.
Yes.
Yeah, caregiver support, which is a huge component of what we do.
Yes, and I know I always appreciate that telephone call that comes up on my phone with the name of the hospice company, because I know that they're going to not just give me an update, but they're so caring. They actually say, how are you doing? And, just so you understand, this is why this is happening. And, I really appreciate that they take the time to do that. I don't have to call them. They call me.
Right.
And I love that. And I think that the more people that understand this about hospice, and that it is that the experience can be really great. If you're having a bad experience, change companies. Just change companies. You don't have to stay with them. There are a lot of hospice companies out there, because it'll be like night and day. And if you find the right one, then your whole experience does change. And that's worth it. So caregivers and your caree, talk to the hospice company and get what you need out of it. And if you need anything, just call Helen. I'll give you her personal phone number. No, I won't do that. But you can just contact Helen, because the heartofhospice.com is that easy to remember. It's theheartofhospice.com. But you can talk to her, or send her an email, or talk to her and find out, what are we doing wrong, or what can we do right, and she'll definitely help you. In fact, you're even involved in some advocacy as well, aren't you?
I am. And I'm launching a new service. The podcast is all about advocacy, because I think education is part of supporting the people who have to be advocates. Caregivers, first and foremost, are advocates for their caree.
Yeah.
But what we know about it is advocacy is exhausting.
It is.
It's all these hundreds of micro decisions that you make every day. And then the big decisions that you agonize and you advocate for, hospice now or hospice later. And then did we do this too soon? Is this a bad fit for an agency? And then the small stuff that eats away at your energy, emotional, spiritual energy every day.
Every day.
Things that generate, like you guys were talking about earlier, that the guilt and resentment. Teresa was talking about that. The things that build up as you gain compassion fatigue. That's what advocacy causes if it's not done well. So the Heart of Hospice podcast is all about supporting and providing information there. I also have a service that's going to launch at the end of March this year, hospice navigation services.
Oh, and I love that.
We're going to have several different levels of care depending on the information that people need. It's all done remotely, so you can do it, from the comfort of your own home, via phone or by video chat. And I'm going to offer a 30-minute complimentary phone call for people that just need information. Sure. And there'll be an option to do a Q&A session. And it's for those people who are involved, like you were saying, Savvy, we've got a hospice that's not a good fit.
Right.
Or they're telling us this thing, but we don't trust this information.
Right.
A troubleshoot session where I can say, yeah, this is what you need to know. These are your different options. Because I think for a lot of people, having that information is powerful.
Right.
Yes.
And any kind of navigating service is amazing. And especially when it comes to hospice, because that's not just at the supposed maybe end of life, like my mother, who's now graduated twice, but it is that end of life preparation that you're going through, but it's also, you're seeing the end of your caregiving journey. And
Yes.
at that end of the journey, you're so exhausted, you're so fried that you'll pretty much take anything that comes along, and you might settle for the wrong hospice company. You might settle for you might make the wrong decisions. And now here's Helen coming in saying, I'll help you navigate that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so what a great thing you're doing for the caregivers. And now will they be able to get a hold of you through theheartofhospice.com, or do you have for this coming up in March, what you're doing with the navigation that you're doing, is that coming under another name, or is that still going to be under the Heart of Hospice?
It'll be under the Heart of Hospice. You can find it on theheartofhospice.com. There'll be a page for hospice navigation services and a place to go ahead and schedule whichever type of call they need to have. Absolutely.
Yeah. Helen's going to be another one that we're definitely going to be featuring throughout the year through some of our outreach. And I know Lonnie's going to want to probably talk to you.
Another one, yes, because a couple of things. I have a son who is a certified chaplain and worked with a hospice company.
Yay.
And when it comes to navigation, before I retired and created my own wellness business, I was with the American Cancer Society for 15 years. And worked with hospital navigation. And one of the things that came up in that work was that navigation services extend the life of both the patient and the caregiver. And so it's huge. And people don't realize how much you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yep.
And so those navigation services can really help guide people, navigate people on that journey, whether it's, caregiving or into the hospice end of life. And the other thing, Teresa, Helen, I wanted to ask you, because part of what came into my scope as we were dealing with my son's journey and through hospice was understanding the difference between palliative care and hospice. There's a lot of, and maybe that's something in a future podcast we can talk about, is understanding the difference, because for me, initially, the oncologist that was working with my son used the term palliative care to soften the term hospice.
Right.
And, if we understand what palliative care really is, it really opens up more opportunities and more support for that journey before you get to this end stage where you probably need the hospice.
We'll need a whole nother show for that one, I think.
So I'd love to talk to you, about all of those
you'll
things.
be able to connect on that, but also that is a really great point. And if you guys want the answer to it, contact Helen.
Yes.
Contact her on theheartofhospice.com, because you definitely should understand that is part of the journey, or contact Lonnie and myself. We can help you as well. But navigating is so important. And I wish I had that. I wish I had you when I was going through it, because my navigation was going through, a 3-foot tunnel opening with jagged rocks is my journey through hospice. And I've come out of it now with a greater understanding. However, it was just painful. It was so painful, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And so people like Helen, with your heart and the Heart of Hospice, are here for you caregivers. And I can't even thank you for taking the time and making the time to be on our show today. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, well,
really appreciate it. Big
privilege.
mahalo to you. All right. Well, great. And so was there any last things? I didn't mean to cut you off. Any last things you wanted to share with us?
No, just reach out to me, theheartofhospice.com. My email, also helen@theheartofhospice.com. The podcast is available on all the major platforms and on the website too. So great source of education and information and support. Yeah.
Yes. And go to her podcast, because then you can see me on her show. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Helen. Just adore you. And I look forward to doing more wonderful things together. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you
so much. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Aloha. Bye.
Aloha.
Wow. What a show, huh? Like I said, it's amazing. Yeah. This is what we do. Gosh, thank you, Lonnie, for all of that. You guys, reminder again to weekly support sessions every Tuesday at 8 p.m. and every Saturday at 9 a.m. That's all Hawaii Standard Time. So please make the adjustment to your time zone or get on a plane and fly over here and take a vacation because you deserve that as well. But all this is in our calendar, of course, in the Giver's Guides magazine. Your subscription, by the way, makes a difference because all the monies that come from the subscriptions go to support Give Me a Break in what we do. So we need your help. And so subscribe, get a subscription as a gift, do whatever you have to do for a caregiver. And it's $24.99 for a whole year. You get 12 months issues, and that money goes to supporting what we do here at Give Me a Break. So it's a wonderful partnership, and we do appreciate what you do for us. So,
well, and right. I want to invite anyone who is, with us that provides a service for caregivers to reach out to us if you'd like to be part of the Giver's Guides resources.
Yeah.
We would love to have more resources for caregivers to help navigate that journey.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we have our second annual Hawaii Caregivers Expo coming up in March, the last Saturday in March on the 25th of March, right here at the Windward Mall where I am currently. And that's going to be from 9 to 5. It's a full day of great caregiver resource. We're going to have our pamper session. And if you haven't been to one of our pamper sessions, go pre-register for it right now. You'll get massage, meditation, aromatherapy. It's just an amazing time for caregivers. It's free. We don't charge for that. And so you get a moment of a break to yourself. So again, our second annual Hawaii Caregivers Expo, March 25th at Windward Mall in Kaneohe from 9 to 5. We'd love to have you join us. And for those of you who are on the continental U.S., you can tune into our Facebook page where we'll be doing lives throughout the day and hopefully put you in touch with some of the resources that we'll have available. And if not, just remember to tune in right here live on the Caring Caregiver Show every Wednesday at noon, brought to you by Give Me a Break and sponsored by Giver's Guides. And don't worry if you miss us live, you can always catch us on podcast and Spotify, Apple, all the platforms. We're out there. And you can always go to the caringcaregivershow.com to check out past issues and to listen to podcast audios as well, or even watch the videos. And if you're listening on our YouTube channel and you're watching our live show right now, please check out some of our past episodes, but also please follow and subscribe, because the more audience we can create, the more caregivers we can reach, and we need your help to do that. Okay. Thank you again, Lonnie. Really appreciate you taking the time. And I just love it. You're like the perfect co-host. Maybe we just need to start doing this together from now on.
Oh, well, more loving and coercing.
Right? Am I talking you into it again? It's so funny. As soon as I said that, there was a like on the screen. Okay. All right, you guys. That's how I do it.
Thank you, everyone.
In the meantime, remember to breathe. Here's hoping that you're finding more joy in caregiving every week right here on the Caring Caregiver Show. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember, always be kind to yourself and to everyone around you. Aloha.
Yep. Find your joy and go there.
That's right.